Hey fifth graders, we are back and we're going to talk about estimating before we solve for an answer. Okay, so let's take a look. Alrighty, I've got two numbers. Now, we can estimate with whatever operation we're using. If we're adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing, we can estimate. Okay, so let's just do a quick reminder here that we know if it's 5 or greater, we're going to go up to the next number. And if it's 4 or less, we're going to keep it. Okay? So, on these, we're going to round to the nearest 10. Since there's only two digits, the best place to round to would be the nearest 10, okay? So I look, of course, at the number behind it to decide if I'm going to round. It's a 5. We said 5 or greater, we go up. So my 3 becomes a 4, and my other number becomes a 0. So then I look down here, it's a 1. 4 or less, we're going to keep it. Okay, and put the 0 in the other place. Okay, so now I can add. So I estimated first, now I can add. Okay, 60. All right, and if I were to add this, 5 plus 1, 6, 3 plus 2, 5. Are these pretty comparable numbers? Yes, they are, because if I was going to round this to the nearest 10, it would round to 60. Okay? All right, let's try this one. And this time we're going to round to the nearest 100. Okay, so I'm going to underline my 100 spots, and I'm going to look behind them to see if I round. And I see a 7, so I am going to round up to 9, and everything else behind becomes zeros. I look here, I have a 9, so I'm going to round up to 2, and the other 2 become zeros, and I'm ready to subtract. Okay, 0, 0, 700. Okay, we can check and see how compatible. 9 minus 8, 1. We can't do that, so let's give it a 1 and make this a 7. 17 minus 9, 8. 7 minus 1, 6. If we rounded this to the nearest 100, we would get our answer. Okay, so we did a good job on our rounding. All right, so now multiplying. And again, I'm probably going to round to my nearest 10 here. Okay, so I look behind. I see a 2, so I round to 4 and put everything else as a 0. I see a 2, so I keep it. And now I'm ready to multiply. Okay? When I have two numbers that end in 0, I can bring those two zeros down, and then I can just multiply my other two numbers. 4 times 1, 400. Okay, we can work this to see if we get a comparable answer. 2 times 2, 4. 4 times 2, 8. We got a second row, so we start with a 0. 2, 4. We're ready to add. Okay, now we got a little different answer here, didn't we? Okay, so now that's okay. All right, they asked us to round, and we rounded both numbers down. And a lot of times when you round both numbers down, okay, you're going to get a smaller answer than your exact. Okay, you get closer to your exact when one goes up and one goes down, okay, or stays. But this is okay. All right, 888 divided by 31, and yes, we can do this with division. Now, and we are going to round to two different place values. I'm going to round this one to the nearest 100, and this one to the nearest 10. So if I look at this and I round to the nearest 100, I'm rounding to 900. And I'm rounding this one to 30. And I am ready to divide. How many 30s in 90? You've got it, 3. Bring our 0 down. How many 30s in 0? 0. Okay, so my answer is 30. Let's try the exact to see what we get. Okay, 31 into 88. Well, we know 30 goes into 90 3 times, so I bet this only goes twice. So that's 62. I subtract and bring down. Okay? Now, this is how I think about these. I think about 3 and I think about 26. And I think, how many times will 3 go into 26? And I know that's going to go about 8 times. So I'm going to multiply. And I get that. And I subtract and I get 20 for a remainder. So are these two numbers comparable? You got it, they are. Okay, fifth graders, don't forget, if they tell you to estimate, go ahead and do that estimating before you find your answer. Okay? All right, we'll talk to you next week. Have a great weekend.